Hey everybody, it's Amy Gretchen. Welcome back to more December daily videos. So this is going to be 18 and 19. And listen, you can see that I am just jumping in the middle of this project, and I wasn't 100% sure where to start this because my videos were all over the place. Pretty sure that I filmed 16, 17, 18, and 19 together. And so I had some video in like the 16, 17 section. I think I told you about that last time. But at any rate, I decided to start the video here because this is where I was trying to work on 18 and I realized I can't do a tag. The tag's too big. And to be honest, I really didn't want the tag to stick up. I know a lot of people like when stuff goes out of the album, but for this particular album, I did not want that. And so I knew I was going to need to cut it down. And so I knew I was going to have to start over. When you see I cut this down, you can see that the tabs are in the wrong place. So this is me taking apart the project. But at any rate, I just want to let you know where I'm starting from. So because it's been so long and I'm not 100% sure, I've had those craft tags that I'm using for day 18. I've had them for years. I can't remember what kit they came in December daily, but I've had them for a really long time and I've used them in several of my December dailies. And so this one, I really liked that it had the angle, and I'm not sure if I had already cut the angle or not. You can see that there's a slit there. I don't know if I already cut that before I started this project. Like I might have done it a few years ago and just ended up not using it. But at any rate, let's hop into where we're going to start with day 18. I wanted you to see the mess up and how I ripped everything apart. And now we're basically starting over with day 18. But I have cut off the top of that tag. And I do have a slit in there because I want to create a pocket. So that's what I'm creating. So I'm putting this on the back of day 17. And the tag was a little bit smaller than, what is it, 4 1/4 by 5 1/2. And so I knew that I needed to cut down day 17. Now, it's curious why I decided to do the measurements and try to get the exact center, because really at the end of the day, I just decided to put the tag in the center and then cut around the edges. So that is what I did. I don't know. I did not need to do the measurement. If you do something like this, you wouldn't have to do the measurement, right? But you wouldn't make the same mistake that I did. Sometimes I just start going for it and then I forget. Things do not measure up. So I'm using my favorite tape. This is the Score tape. You saw how hard it was to rip off that paper in the back. It's very secure and very awesome. When I'm using it, I had forgotten here, but when I'm using this, I like to leave the backing onto it, put a little tab off, just so I can make sure I get it in the exact right place before I'm committed to it. And then once I'm committed to it, I can just pull those strips off and then everything is adhered on. All right, so we are moving on. This is going to be sort of a fast-paced video, right? So we did day 18 and now we're working on what's going to go inside the pocket. So that was the foundation and this is what's going inside. So this is the photo that I have chosen and this is the journaling. So you saw the way that I did the journaling. This was actually a pre-printed card that I printed on my computer. So I don't know if you noticed, but I had the 8 1/2 piece of paper and I just printed it out and then I stuck on the actual card and then I sent it through my printer. Again, I've done that in lots of other videos. You may have seen other people do that, but that's how I'm able to print on an actual card that, you can get in a kit. All right, so I decided that I didn't like having the border on the photo, so I just trimmed that off. And now I'm going to stick that on the back of the card. I think this might have been a Paislee press card, but I can't 100% remember. It was definitely from a prior December daily kit, this card, and it's really pretty. It's got, the writing is in gold foil. On the back side it was in black, but I decided I wanted the gold foil. Of course, with this December daily, everything's gold foil, right? So you can see that's just going to fit right in. I didn't like how tight the pocket was, so I'm going to try and open it up a little bit more. I'm just using my X-ACTO. Thank goodness I didn't go all the way through. It's definitely something I would do. So I'm just kind of opening it up just to making sure that I have a little bit more room to be able to play with that. So I grabbed over some stickers again. This is from an old December daily kit. I'm using a lot of my old supplies because I just have so many of them. So I do apologize for that, but there, I'm sure, is something in your stash that you could use for a tab. That's what I'm looking for. I really liked these circles because they were the exact same size and I knew that they would fit on top of one another. You could definitely, like I said, you could definitely do this with something else, maybe with a punch. You could punch out a pattern paper and that way you know that they would fit on top of each other. And that would be really cute as well because you could do like a star or a different shape if you had a different shape and wanted to use that. So I'm putting those on top of each other. I'm realizing I don't like the way it sticks up. It sticks up just a little too much. So I'm going to redo it and make everything, just push it down a little bit onto the photo and onto that card. And I really love the use of my tweezers here. It is so helpful when you're trying to do something that's really precise. All right, so to finish off day 18, I'm thinking about, how I want to decorate this page. I have an idea for the right side of the page, and you can see it right here. This was a file from Paislee Press, I believe, and I will have it linked below. It's a digital file, so I'm pretty sure she still has that available. And I used the foil quill to create it, so that is why I ended up getting it gold. It's not printed, it is used with the foil quill, and that's how I created that. I was actually going to use this for my title page, and then I decided to do something completely different. If you are interested in seeing how I created it, I think I may have a video where I created that. So maybe I could do another little video showing you how I did that page. At any rate, I end up not using this page. I do change it up. I don't change it up in this video. I can't even remember when I change it up, but at some point I change it up just to a pattern paper and then I add a chipboard on there. I don't think I'm going to show you at the end of this video just because it's not that big of a deal, but I will show you in the flip through. When I do a final flip through, you'll see it's just a white piece of paper. It's a very delicate pattern because I felt like there was just too much type. There was too much type in on the left side and then on the right side. I just didn't like, it was just too much. So I ended up changing it, and I actually really like the change that I made. And I think you guys will too, but I will show you that in another video. Sorry, that is so lame for me to do. Okay, so I am moving on to day 19. So if you can see on that white piece of paper, I have those little cut out loops. Now I actually have a digital file in my Etsy shop. I will have it linked below if you're interested, because I've done this in my December daily before. And I really love it because you're able to fit in a 3x4 card onto a piece of paper. And you'll see when I put in my photo how it works with the tabs, but I just really love the look of this. So at any rate, I cut that down first and then I put it through the embossing folder. This embossing folder is from Spellbinders. If they still have it available in their shop, I will definitely link to it. I really love their embossing folders. They do an amazing job with them. And so because this day was all about my anniversary, I thought it would be fun to use the hearts. So I just went ahead and embossed that with my Spellbinder 6 machine. And now I'm grabbing over the photo, and you can see how it fits perfectly in those tabs. That's why I was kind of measuring where the tabs were so I could get it just perfectly straight. And now I'm adhering some journaling onto the back. I always like to try and squeeze in the story. Of course, the story is so important. So putting that where I can, you can see on day 18 and 19, I'm doing the very same thing where I'm putting it on the back side of the photo. And that's what I love so much about these tabs, is the photo fits in, but I can easily remove it so that I can look at my journaling. And I just really love that. It's just another way to hold, your stories or to hold your photos. So if you are interested in that file, I will definitely have it linked below. Of course, you could do it yourself with an X-ACTO, but just super easy to cut it out with a file. All right, so now I'm going to the left side, or the right side of day 19. And I wanted to do a shaker, and I wanted to do something fun. So I'm grabbing over some of the distress inks, and I can't remember, I didn't quite see what color this was, but of course this is a lighter pink. I will show you again. Of course, I will have all this stuff linked below as well. This is Abandoned Coral. So I just honestly grabbed like 3 reds. I wanted this to be an ombre, and I loved the idea of it being a little bit more muted instead of really bright for Christmas. So these are the colors that I settled on. And then the dark one is Aged Mahogany. Now, I don't know if you've done anything like this before. It's actually really easy to do. And you could see at the very beginning, it was looking a little rough. But as you just keep, rubbing around that ink, so you can see how rough that looks. But as you just keep going and layering on top of each other, it actually looks really good. And of course, I wasn't too worried about it because I knew that I was going to have this cut out on top of it. So I knew if there was any imperfections, it was going to totally be fine. But I think that it's just really easy to blend these colors. So I don't think you need to worry about making it completely perfect. I love the look of blending colors, and I love this so much. I think this is one of my favorite pages from the year just because it felt so playful to me. I love the colors, and I love how it went together with the story. And I think shakers are so fun to put in your album. It's something that I've done before. Lots of people do this. This is a big thing in the card world. And so I just really enjoyed putting this one together. So this Celebrate cut file, let me just talk about that for a minute. So I actually have this die set from My Favorite Things that has Celebrate on it. And I believe it was almost like an oval, like a rectangle with like really rounded corners, I believe, if I remember correctly. I bought it a long time ago. It's no longer on their website, but I was looking at that and I was thinking to myself, I really like that. Maybe I could make my own. And so I ended up creating this file in my silhouette to cut out with my silhouette. And one of the reasons why is because I felt it fit a little bit better on the page as a rectangle like this. And then also because I wanted to add some journaling in between the letters. And you'll see that when I've got the top portion. You'll know what I'm talking about in just a minute as I start assembling it together, because there's a bottom portion and then there's the top piece, and the top piece has, I think it says 26 for 26 years together. So it says 26 years together. And so I wanted to add that as well. And so it was just so much easier to print it and then cut it using my silhouette. So that's what I ended up doing, just creating a print and cut. So you could definitely do this with the silhouette like I did. Super easy just to add the letters. Or you could do this if you had dies, letter dies, alpha dies. You could definitely do it that way as well. So there's different ways you could do this if you wanted to get a similar look. You could even cut it out with the silhouette if you were really, really brave, because it is a little bit harder to do when you're stacking them up, getting perfect. You definitely probably want to be using either dies or a cut file. All right, so you can see that I took 2 cutouts and stacked them on top of each other. So this is going to be the base. Now there's a couple ways you could do this. You could just lift up, like use some foam tape just around the edge and lift it up, and then put all of your confetti pieces and just have the confetti kind of going all over underneath that Celebrate. But I actually wanted the confetti to be in each of the letters. And so that's why I'm making each of the letters individual. So now you can see this is the top portion, and I'm gluing the top portion onto the plastic so that the confetti does not come out, right? So as I'm gluing this down onto some of this acetate, you can see that I've got the type there that I was talking about. And like I said, it says 26 together. We're celebrating 26 years together. I should have put years and I didn't, and I noticed that afterwards, but you guys, of course, I'm not going to redo it. It's totally fine. I know what I'm talking about, right? So I just glued that down and I put something heavy on it just to help it to adhere better. And now I'm putting in the confetti. So this confetti came from Michaels. It is Reflections brand, I believe. Just a huge thing of confetti. It's got hearts, it's got stars, there's gold, there's transparent. And I think that that's what I use. There is actually silver as well. It's a great kit, or a great set, especially for December Daily, because I love how tiny the pieces are, and there's a million of them. I've used these in December Daily for several years now. So I'm putting in some gold stars and some gold hearts and then some clear stars, I believe. I don't think they had clear hearts, so I think it was just the clear stars. But it was a lot of fun. You can see that I'm just like putting them into each individual letter, because they're going to stay within the letter and shake within the letter. So it's just definitely the look that I wanted, because sometimes when you do the whole background, the confetti just stays at the bottom, and sometimes it can get lost because look at all that white space in between the letters. And so I definitely wanted it to have, I just wanted it to make sure it felt more fun. So that's why I decided to do it that way. The only thing I will say about this confetti, which can be very challenging, and you'll see this in just a minute, I don't know why I ended up putting the plastic on top of it, the topper on top, before I did any of the glue, but you'll see that so many of the confetti pieces stick to the plastic, and I was like, oh my gosh. So I'm literally trying to do everything with one hand, but you'll see that in just a minute. All right, so I wanted to put the inside pieces of the letters. I definitely didn't have to do this, especially with a shaker. It could have been really fun just to have, you know, have it like wide open, but I don't know, for whatever reason, I really wanted to put the insides. So the best way to do that is to take the cutout letter and put that down first, and then to add the inside, and that way you know you're getting it in the exact right place, and you don't have to worry about, does this look okay? It's in the right place because that's where it, you know, initially was supposed to go. So I did have a little bit of an issue with making sure I was getting the right inside piece for this R and for the B. I guess I just wasn't really great about making sure I kept the pieces together. But at any rate, I don't think it has to be that it had to be, you know, perfect, but I think I ended up figuring it out in the end. I think probably what ended up happening, because it's white, I think it was maybe just flipped, and that's why it wasn't fitting exactly right, but I ended up figuring it out. I think it ended up being like the first thing that, you know, it's the one that's off to the side is the one that I end up using for it. So anyway, I do figure it out in the end, but it took me a minute. But I do love, like I mentioned, I do love being able to use that inside, or excuse me, the actual letters to help you put that in place. It makes it so much easier. Now I am putting it on top of the plastic, so it's not with the shaker pieces, it is on top of the plastic. So I just wanted you to be aware of that. Like I said, this is the topper because it has the text on top of it. All right, so this is what I was talking about, where I decided, hey, let's see if it fits on. And you can see on the left, where I'm holding it with my hand, that all of the little shakers, not all of them, but a lot of the shakers caught on to the plastic, which was so annoying. I should have known that, because I've done things like this before and the static is crazy. So sorry, I'm a little off the page. Like I said, I am definitely doing everything with just one hand. Now the reason why I'm putting that paper on top of the glue is because I didn't want there to be so much glue that it was going to ooze out into the letter. So I wanted to make sure and tap a little bit off of it. And then I'm just fitting it on top. Now, some of the confetti pieces are a little wild and they like to stand on end. So I had to keep going in and flattening them. I really love using liquid glue for this type of application because it allows you a minute or two to get in there and move things around so you can get it exactly where you want before you need to commit to it. So that's one of the reasons why I really love liquid glue. This liquid glue is amazing. It comes in a big bottle and it lasts a long time, and I will have that one linked below. All right, so now I'm going to add 19 to the album. So I'm just putting it on the back side of day 18. And like I said, I will end up switching this up. But luckily, because I used that dot liner, I was able to peel it up with no problem. I didn't have to redo anything. Everything was just fine. And then I will do all the hole punching. I'm just cutting off the edge because it did not fit as perfectly as I wanted it to. I didn't want any overhang, and now I'm just using the Crocodile to punch those holes, and then I will do the same for the cream paper. So this cream paper actually came from Spellbinders. They have a beautiful cardstock. This one is called Alabaster. Again, I will have that linked below as well. And I really love the look of cream and white together. I think in like years ago, I thought that that was maybe a weird thing to do, and I actually really, really love it. So I was super happy to be able to do it here. I love how neutral and subtle everything is, and then you've got that pop of pink. So that is going to be day 19, except I need to choose the numbers. You guys know how much I love choosing numbers. Sometimes I feel like I've given myself too many options actually. So I pulled over, you can see that something was on that photo, and so I was erasing it. This photo is actually not a very good print. I need to reprint it. Something was going on with my printer, and by the end of the year, I think in January, I ended up having to buy a new one. I had that printer for probably 7 years, and I finally had to replace it. So I actually do need to print that. It did not print out as sharp, and it wasn't sharp, it was just a little faded, and it was kind of weird. So I did want to print that again. So before I ended up committing to that 19, which I am going to use, by the way, I did want to put the date on the back side. I just thought there was some space there, and I thought it would look good to just have the date. So I grabbed over my favorite red ink for December Daily. This is a Gina K ink. The name has left me, but I will have it linked below. It's just a beautiful deep colored red. And what I'm doing right now is I'm trying to get off the black. This is the date stamp that I use all the time, and so it's just covered in black. So I definitely wanted the red to be able to show through. Of course, I could have just cleaned it, but I decided to use the stamp set and help me clean it that way. So again, you can see how the photo just fits in perfectly with those tabs, and then I can pull it out and read the journaling and put it back in. So anyway, you guys, that is going to be it for days 18 and 19. Thank you so much for being here, and thank you for your patience as I worked through this video, seeing as how it was all over the place. I need to be better about just filming the days that I know that I want to put together in my YouTube channel, but sometimes it doesn't always work out that way. So you can kind of see 15, 16, 17, 18, and 19 here. Again, thank you guys so much. If you have any questions, please leave them in the comments section below, and we will see you next time. Bye.